The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem.
Yeah, as Christine just alluded to, LFG, the Luna Foundation Guard, has purchased about 30,000 Bitcoin. So what does that mean for the market, and is it a good thing? Of course, joining us now to discuss is Cory Klippsten. He's the CEO of Swan Bitcoin. Welcome, Cory.
Great to be here. Thanks, Lawrence.
Yeah, glad to have you on. You have some very strong opinions about Luna and Terra and Kwon, the founder. So let's start off. Is this the Terra Luna market more than the Bitcoin market is now?
Is it more than the Bitcoin market?
Well,
No.
in the sense that but I'm saying is the current market situation we're in a result of in terms of price, in terms of activity, in terms of interest, and sort of I don't want to say excitement, but given that this was a low volume market, and all of a sudden you have a player coming in and buying a significant amount. Are they right now the major factor in current prices?
No, I don't think so. I think it's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the overall market. Daily volumes are dwarf whatever is coming in from the purchases from Luna. Just like it's, nothing's really moving today on MicroStrategy's announcement. And obviously they bought another 4,000 coins in the last few days, and nothing's really moving there either. So I think the market's just big enough that it doesn't really matter that much.
I want to play a clip from Kwon, one of the founders of, the CEO of Terraform Labs that created Luna. Let's play that clip.
I think if we scale that to $10 billion, so the reason why I want to get to 10 billion is that besides Satoshi, we will be the largest single holder of Bitcoin in the world. Now, then in that case, like within the crypto industry, then the failure of UST is equivalent to the failure of crypto itself, right? Because if the largest single wallet sells off all the Bitcoin, then that's an issue.
The failure of UST is the equivalent of the failure of crypto itself. What are your thoughts on this statement?
Listen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he'd probably like to take a mulligan on that one, because obviously that's false and not true at all. So I don't know what more to say about that. If it was intentional and he's restated it in text or on other interviews, then I guess it's a combination of just being wrong and maybe a bit of hubris. But yeah, that's obviously false.
Nonetheless, let's step back for a second here, because I think maybe explain to the viewers the role of UST currently and why they're purchasing all this Bitcoin for their books, and really what is the, is it a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah. So listen, there's a cohort of folks that are basically around Kwon, and this includes some of his investors like Hashed, which was, basically is a South Korean firm that made all of their money on the Icon ICO back in 2017, which obviously tanked after that. And essentially they're trying to gin up some demand for this seigniorage machine, basically a seigniorage machine where they can print money and clip the coupons off that. So the main thing that they've done is they created the Anchor protocol, which has an artificial 20% interest rate. And so a lot of people, this is over 2/3 of the market cap of UST, which is Terra USD, just goes straight into Anchor protocol and clips that 20% coupon. And then sophisticated traders understand they can do what's called a loop. And there are dozens of these strategies where they basically take leverage, put it in there. They can create B Luna and some other things off of other protocols and then restake that. Anyway, you can do this loop over 20 times. And so I know traders personally that are levered up more than 20 times in this trade. So essentially, it's all reliant on one fake, unsustainable protocol that's giving 20% interest for free, kind of like free Uber rides or free deliveries of 50% off Grubhub when they enter your market or something like that. It's unsustainable. They'll run out of money in the next couple of months, and essentially they're trying to backstop that somehow with essentially it needs to keep growing forever for the thing to stay alive. So the Luna just sold I think like $1 billion worth of Luna to Jump and other backers of theirs, essentially to create another couple months of reserve in Anchor protocol so they could keep on paying out that 20% coupon. But again, it's basically just being taken advantage of by leverage traders and professional crypto hedge funds that are just clipping this free money that's coming from the VCs behind Luna.
It sounds like a version of musical chairs. So what happens, first of all, to how does the music stop? And then what happens when it does stop?
I don't know. There's just nothing new here. I mean, you've got, another founder, yet again, sort of jurisdiction hopping and under investigation by the SEC and using lawyers to dodge those inquiries and claiming that it doesn't matter and that he's building the future of finance. But, at its base case, the primary premise of UST, which you've seen him pitch on your own shows, and I've seen him go out and trot this out on other podcasts, is that you need UST because Bitcoin can't be used for payments, which is such an old and tired narrative. It goes back, from 2013 through 2017. This was basically the reason for all altcoins, is because Bitcoin. This was the reason for the block size wars, Bitcoin cash fork. Everything comes down to that. Meanwhile, the Lightning Network is smacking you in the face, let alone the fact that you can use pretty much any currency for medium of exchange, and then the exchange on the recipient end of a transaction can just be abstracted away, the way that you're seeing, Cash App do this, or OpenNote, or any of these guys. Like, it doesn't really matter what people pay with, because at the merchant or on the receiving end, somebody can just instantly and seamlessly and nearly for free translate the payment currency into the currency that they actually want to hold on their balance sheet.
That being said, Do Kwon is incredibly great at riling a community together in support of the Terra Luna ecosystem, and attracting investors. A lot of VC money has been coming in, and so if that continues to build, you're saying it's unsustainable. If the bubble pops, how will that impact the rest of the crypto market?
Again, Bitcoin won't care. It may take a little bit of hit or something like that, but it'll just move on. And, Bitcoiners just are pretty sanguine about this. We've seen this before. There's nothing new under the crypto sun, as I tweeted last night. Whether it's Tron messing around with something related to Bitcoin, or, it just really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Bitcoin marches on. TikTok, next block.
Yeah, you in your tweet yesterday showing that video clip, you said that it had, I believe, Elizabeth Holmes kind of vibe. What's been the reaction from the community, from the Terra community and the Luna community? They seem very, let's just say, almost Jim Jones level of interest here. So, how have they reacted to you?
Honestly, I haven't seen very much. I don't actually think they have a rabid community, not the way that you would see with sort of longer standing projects that, may have Stockholm syndrome to a much higher degree, like a Ripple or a Cardano or something. Those people are unfortunately pretty lost. I think it's really just traders that like Luna, because they are playing these leverage trader games, and, they'd like that music to not stop for as long as possible. But I don't really see any conviction there. And, I haven't really seen anything. Like, if you go after a Garlinghouse or a Charles Hoskinson or something like that, you'll see a lot more vociferous and adamant retorts from those communities. But I haven't really seen much of a core Luna community. I don't think it's real.
Folks, he said it, not me. So please don't direct your tweets here.
Cory, just to change the topic for a moment, you sent us a chart about Bitcoin adoption. Can you just walk us through that chart and what it means?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just kind of, my view, and what you actually see in the data is that we are actually still really, really early in the story of Bitcoin adoption. I've seen a lot of people sort of take, crypto exchange accounts and say, oh, well, that's a large number. And especially when you take it a percentage of, the US population or the Western world population or something, that, oh, a lot of people are into Bitcoin. And it's just not true. It's still extremely early. There are very, very few people, even in the United States, that both have a decent chunk of their net worth in Bitcoin and actually have a good understanding of what they hold. So actually have conviction, and it's part of their sort of, wealth preservation strategy or wealth growing strategy. I'd put that number in the sub 1 million in the United States, so less than 1/3%. So I think we're still very much in the early adopter innovator phase and not anywhere close to crossing the chasm for Bitcoin. So I just think there's a lot more upside here, both in number of people going up and then obviously in the price of the asset over the rest of the decade.
You also have a chart on Bitcoin's market cap, and you see it as going at least to $21 trillion. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is a chart that FundStrat, Tom Lee's shop, put together, and I just really like the visual, so I've been using it a bit. But it just shows, and there's different firms with different versions of this, but I think that's just them pointing out that $1 million a coin is only 5% of global household wealth. So when you talk about, I think that pie, Bitcoin is the best tool for the job for that $400 to $500 trillion worth of store of value. And so when I think about where the Bitcoin price is going over the long term, you've got to make an estimation in your mind and do a calculation. What percentage of that pie is Bitcoin going to take over what time frame? So I generally just use for my own personal finances and for my company's finances for Swan, just kind of planning purposes, that I've been saying publicly for quite a while that I think there's about a 90% chance that Bitcoin hits sat cent parity or $1 million a coin before the end of the decade, which doesn't seem too unrealistic given that we've seen, a 20x rise from the trough up to 60K. You're just talking about another 20x over the next 8 years. Seems fairly reasonable.